Hello and welcome to Decorating Pages podcast. I am your host, Kim Wannop. What's up? What's up? Hey, it's almost May. How about that? How's that crazy enough for us? I mean, Memorial Day is right around the corner and summer blockbusters will soon be here. That's kind of exciting. I don't know if I said it, I took my boys to see Super Mario Brothers. It was pretty good, although I do like the first one better. Today's podcast is with production designer Martha Sparrow and set decorator Patricia Cuccia from The Testaments. So we're going to get into this in a minute, but the show is incredible. I watched it all week. I binged it. The colors, the scale, the textures, the way those spaces make the girls look so small in this perfect looking world. We're going to get into all of that. So we'll get to that in a minute. Probably 8 minutes. Put it that way if you'd like to skip ahead. If you don't like to listen to me, skip ahead 8 minutes. How about that? You might have gotten an extra email from me yesterday. Now, I'm not big on emails. I only send out when there is a new episode. But I put out an email just to let anyone know that if they wanted to have a Emmy FYC social post with decorating pages, any production designer, any art directors, set decorators, I am putting out FYC social post because I don't get to talk to everyone and schedules don't work out, and I still want to promote the work. I still want people to see what else is out there. I think that's a really big thing with voting, is that we don't see everything. There's just too much. So I thought, why not open it up to more than the 6 interviews that I'm going to get to for FYCs, and open it up to anyone who wants to advertise their sets and just get it in front of eyes of voters, because this little niche here is a lot of voters. So I'm very proud of that. And it's overwhelming to have people say that they know about the podcast or listen and everything. So I'm always so grateful. But again, just want to spotlight projects during this voting window. So it will start May 11th and run through June 22nd, which is the end of Emmy voting. If you would like to advertise an FYC on the Decorating Pages socials, please reach out to me at kimwannop@decoratingpagespodcast.com. I also have bigger packages if you wanted to do a whole episode. So there you go. That was my extra email that came out yesterday. If you are not an Emmy person and you are a listener, just get ready and take a look at these sets and these extraordinary shows that put so much effort into their works. And it's hard. It's a hard competition, and it's hard that only 5 in each category get recognized. It's stiff competition out there. So let's get into, what are you watching? What is everybody watching out there? What is Wannop watching? Well, I finished up The Pit, like any normal person who's been waiting for this show. I wanted to binge it like I did the first season, and I couldn't wait. And then by week 5, I had to get into it. It's just an extraordinary show. And there's so many social posts out there about how they choreograph every scene and how every extra knows what to do. And I mean, that's in every show, kind of. But they are very intense in their detail of authenticity. And the sets really show this. Nina Rusko and set decorator Matt Callahan. I spoke with Nina on the red carpet at the ADG Awards, so I have that up on the on my clips on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, everywhere. So I only got to talk to her for about 2 minutes, but I'd love to talk to her about The Pit. I have so many questions, and I love it. I have said it before. I watched every episode of ER. I never gave up on it. I love John Carter. And from what I'm told, this might be wrong, but this was supposed to be an extension of ER. And is it John? Well, I don't know. Somebody's widow wouldn't give the rights or something. That's what I heard. I don't know. So they made it the Pit, and he's basically John Carter anyway. I don't care what his name is, Robbie, whatever. It's John to me. So there you go. 2 episodes into Hacks this final season, and I gotta say, there is such a difference a lot of times when you watch comedy shows that are in their last season. There's something of the pressure has kind of been given up. They don't have the pressure anymore. They know it's their last season. And I actually think that so far the writing and just it's more relaxed or something when I'm watching it with the actors, and maybe it's just that everybody's comfortable, but I think the season's going to be really good, and I kind of want to call out where I think it's going to go, but maybe I'll wait cuz I think I figured out the ending, but I'm not going to say. But Rob Tokar's production designer, set decorator Jennifer Lucart, just they have been on this podcast. You can listen to them from last season, so bravo to them on their last season. And then I had to watch The Testaments this week, as I said, so I haven't really watched a lot of it. I threw North by Northwest on last night, but I keep throwing on Schitt's Creek. I keep throwing it on because I binged that series when my twins were born, so that's 7 years ago, and I loved it, but I really kind of barely paid attention to it because I was out of it, my mind, with feedings and probably delirious. So I'm rewatching it. Production designer Brendan Smith and set decorators of the series Joe Sussin and James McCrindle. Bravo. I do love when they get to the apocryphy. I can't say it. I can barely say anybody's name on this podcast. I'm not going to try it. Apothecary. I can't say it. When they get to that store, when they decorate and design that store, and the small town, they really captured a lot of like small town comedy in their sets. So, and it's funny. It's a good one. And Catherine O'Hare, gotta give it out to her. All right, let's get to this episode. Why don't we? So today I'm speaking with production designer Martha Sparrow and set decorator Patricia Cuccia about The Testaments on Hulu. And if you've been watching this show and thinking, why is this world so beautiful and yet so unsettling at the same time? Well, we get into why. Martha comes into the series with a deep history of The Handmaid's Tale and that world. And her work on that show earned her multiple Emmy wins, plus another Emmy nomination she has for Poker Face. Patricia brings in an incredible eye for textures and the period detail that's contemporary but dated. It's really fascinating. But her most recent Oscar-nominated production design for The Brutalist. So she came from that previously. So in this conversation, we get into how they build Agnes's dollhouse perfect bedroom and the dollhouse. The dollhouse is the real star of the show, I think. Well, so is the plum color palette of girlhood, and all the girls. I mean, it's so graphic when you look at how they just clump you in by color in this Gilead world. It's crazy. They talk about handmade textiles, custom mirrors, custom schoolroom builds, this huge, beautiful, beautiful cafeteria, and how every choice had to feel rich and controlled and feminine, and just a little terrifying to be in that world. I gotta be honest, I only watched, I think, the first season and a half of A Handmaid's Tale. I couldn't do it. It just was too suffocating or something for me, and it's depressing because I think that was like Trump's first term when that was. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. But this is like you feel empowerment. Like you just feel like there is hope that they will get out of this. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy. I'm in the dark. I don't know the outcome, and I'm a viewer. I'm gonna keep watching. Now I know, Martha, you were involved with this before, but in getting involved with something especially a storyline that you've been involved in for so long.
Mhm.
Were you like so excited to continue that?
Yeah, I worked on seasons 2, 3, 4, and then I stepped away because I was working with Elizabeth Moss on her other series in Chicago.
Hmm.
Um, and then I was in New York for a show. Warren Littlefield also took me to help out on Fargo. So I had other things going on, and it was so nice to come back to the crew that
Mm,
we have on Handmaids, um, and to come back in the role of production designer. I was so happy that they had the faith in me for that. Uh, and just coming back to Toronto after being in many different places, the familiarity of the
right.
way that we do things in a certain place. But the crew on Handmaid's Tale over the years have become, a very well-oiled machine, and the level of um, detail that they bring to the sets and the things that you can do with their talents
Yeah.
is kind of unmatched. So yeah, it was great to come back to them. And then Patty was new to the show,
Yeah.
and I brought Patty in, and I was very excited to do that, to bring her expertise to the decoration side of things because the last season of Handmaids, they were still shooting season 6
Oh.
when we started prep
Oh.
on this show.
Oh.
So we weren't, it just was too busy for the set tech department, to do both things at the same time. And I really needed to, design a new look for a new show. And
Yeah.
that required a lot of research. So I was happy to bring Patty on.
Patty, did it feel like it's is there because there's rules to this story. There's rules in like the simplicity and the way that they live and everything. Was there a lot of research for you to go back and either read the books
Yeah,
there?
so
Yeah.
as soon as Martha called me, I read the book, and I
Yeah.
was working abroad, and I read it in an afternoon, and I was crazy about the book. It was so great. And then I started watching the entirety of The Handmaid's Tale.
Mm.
And I have to say I hadn't watched it, and I just couldn't go to that place. Like I kept thinking it's just going to be too depressing.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it. But then I'm so glad because it's such a great
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
And I really did need to watch it to understand that world. And there was so much, even though we weren't in the same town, we were still so involved with the characters were still hovering. I mean, there was a little bit, a few of them came back, as you see, like there's still a few
Yeah.
people, but it's just that whole, you have to understand what it was before to understand the children of that world, which is what we were doing as the children. So yeah,
There's
so it was a lot of research actually.
I'm sure. I and because to me the story is and it conveys through the design. There's so much oppression and empowerment, and how you guys sort of delicately like make the oppression of their lives interesting and colorful and orderly and everything. And it feels to me like it's almost like a much more almost like the dollhouse. It's such a perfect life that you've given like through the sets and everything, and how you've given them these perfect little girl rooms, and the shades of colors that you used. um can you talk about like your the dressing for that, and then the color palettes, especially for Agnes?
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
Martha, yeah, Martha,
it comes down to like Margaret Atwood's book is written through perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and testaments refers to the fact that they're writing about their experience years later. And and the same was true for Handmaid's Tale. The original book was also, that was written from the perspective of June,
Mm-hmm.
as a handmaid. And June as a handmaid was essentially a prisoner. Um, and so her world had that perspective. When we move into Testaments, we're now in the perspective of a little girl who's grown up in Gilead, and she has been provided for. She doesn't know a world outside of that. And so we were trying to create a world really through her eyes. So that had to do with, like all of her bedroom. It kind of began with that.
Yeah.
And in a way, the children in Gilead are kind of the jewel of their society. So they're, the goal is to have children because there's a fertility crisis going on. And so they give the children to like very rich commanders, and then they live these very lavish lifestyles. So yeah, we started with the colors. I think anybody who knows the series knows that people of different classes wear different colors. And in the books, the girls of this age, teenage girls, wear plum. And so we had to kind of start with that color and then build a palette around the plum. But a little girl's room, it it still has that aesthetic that I think we find in little girls in America. This ideal of sort of pinks and paler colors, but also the plum.
Yeah.
And I think you're showing images now of her bedroom, but a lot of this had to do with also the idea of kind of a freedom that she felt. So we designed this mural in the bedroom,
I love that.
like, with a sense of like landscape and depth and sort of living in a magical forest.
Yeah.
And then for Patty, I mean, maybe you can talk about this a little bit, Patty, but like bringing in the richer textures and the laces and
Yeah.
the silk curtains um and all of the little details of her belongings from childhood, even though we meet her at a time when she's kind of at the cusp of that. This is very much her childhood bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think one thing, well, we did a lot, we tested a lot, like that lace that's
Hmm.
hanging
On the
for the,
bed, on the canopy bed. Yeah.
yeah, we tested so much. I mean, we looked at a lot with the DP because it was all about what it was going to look like through, because there were scenes coming up. Well, there's a spoiler alert that you actually see through the lace.
Oh God.
It's not much of
Oh boy.
but even for the lace curtains, like the sheers, we looked at so many different fabrics. We were also trying to keep almost all of the fabrics are cotton and really natural fibers. We tried to keep that so much
Yeah.
with, because that is their world, that they don't have, they don't use plastics, they don't have, so even the toys you'll see, they're all either made of fabric or wood.
Yeah. I mean,
All
that's even
natural.
inside the dollhouse. I mean,
Yeah. The
that.
work was amazing because we found so many things, and then we had a person build some of the furniture for us so that it would be exact, like she reupholstered, we would buy a little sofa and then she would reupholster it with the fabric
That's
colors
so
that we were
fun.
using.
Patty basically decorated the house and then decorated it again in miniature.
That's something I'd be like, oh, I really like this sofa, but can I get it in a miniature? I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, what was surprising is we would find them and we'd be like, "Oh my god," like, we found the little, outdoor lights that were very much like the one at the real location, because the exterior is a location,
mm,
and,
the
they
exterior.
were, yeah, so you see those little lights at the front of the house on either side of the
Uh,
front doors. They're almost identical to the ones at the house, so we were so excited.
that's
It
so
was,
great.
and then we had our electrician, who we have a set electrician who does all of our lighting. He was in there wiring it, and it was bizarre.
Well, good thing you didn't have any grips in that dollhouse. It would have been broken it. Been bumped into and scuffed walls.
They weren't allowed to touch it. We
Yeah.
literally said they're not allowed it because the whole front opens up and they weren't supposed to touch it.
Yeah. I'd have security on that dollhouse.
Yeah, the whole thing was designed for that opening shot of the series where
Yeah.
you come towards the dollhouse and you go through the window and then you see Agnes behind. So there's actually a bit of a rig on it so that we could open it as the camera comes close to it. So the lens actually ends up on the back wall inside the bedroom in the house.
No,
Um,
yeah, it's a great shot.
it's delicate.
It's very, it's just very like giving you a sense of like these kids are like dolls to people.
Yeah, and that I think within the room as well, you'll see, in the fabrics and in the architecture, we kind of created these framing devices.
Mm,
So the window seat is one of them, and that goes back actually to the Handmaid's Tale. They set up a very iconic shot in the first season, which was June sitting in the window. And it kind of became a recurring theme
mm,
throughout the seasons. And so we reprised it here, but we gave her this sort of almost theater-like curtain,
yeah,
and framed her in the window. But then when you pull back from that, there's frames within the bedroom as well. There's a double arch.
right.
And then when you pull back from that, there's frames within the bed. So there's some shots, like the sort of what we started the design with was a wide shot from Agnes's perspective in the bed, like when
Mm,
she wakes up and she looks through those multiple frames to her dollhouse. And it was just this idea that she is a doll in a
yeah.
dollhouse.
There's a
She's
there's
framed in
th-
space.
there's a great shot. I don't have it, but it's her closet and she's sitting at her vanity, I believe. And
Yeah.
you just see that the symmetry of all that and it's lit
Yeah.
perfectly. It's just beautiful, beautiful shots. Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale kind of set up this language of symmetry,
Hmm.
and we embraced that a lot. Greta and Greta Zazula, our DP, and Mike Barker. And Mike was, it was speaking of coming back to Handmaid's Tale and to the family, coming back and working with Mike again was amazing. He's just so much fun to work with, and he really had such a hand in, how this process developed. And but with the two of them, looking at what those shots were, and basically I pitched out ideas, and just watching the two of them go in and find these moments. There were frames that I had in mind,
Yeah.
but you don't, you provide.
You don't want to be like, shoot, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
All right, look over here. Yeah.
So when they found them, I was so happy. I mean, I knew they would.
Yeah.
I knew they would, but
Well,
um,
I mean, when something's designed that way, it doesn't. I mean, it kills me sometimes when if you've set up this beautiful vignette over here, and they look
yeah,
over at this blank wall or like the one spot of the room where you're like, that's not my favorite. I'm always like,
yeah.
oh, I gave you so much over here. Like, how much prep did you guys have?
um,
Because you have a lot of builds,
yeah, we did.
right? Yeah.
We did. I started designing early, like a kind of pre-prep with some set designers, and we basically worked on the school and the bedroom. Um, we had some early scouting. The director came over from England, and we picked basically the school exterior and
Mm,
the Mackenzie House exterior, just so that I had something to work off, um, to design towards, like, in the same style.
makes
Um,
sense.
and then we started kind of full prep, I guess, in January of that year. And that's when Patty came on. And
Remember, I think I came on a little early, remember, because there was so much testing that you wanted to do.
Mm,
You kind
yeah,
of walk the production into letting, just so that the fabrics could be tested and wallpapers and things that I needed time. Normally, it would be a buyer
yeah.
that would be looking for those things, but I went out and did it myself because we just needed someone to be sourcing things for them to test right off the bat. And it
and
was, yeah,
one of the other things I said to Patty that, initially was, we're gonna have to build a lot of things because we want that handmade aesthetic.
Mm,
And so the lead times were quite long. Especially for things like tiles. There's a lot of tiles in this show.
yeah.
And, Patty found some amazing local builders. We had handmade tiles made in Toronto. We had furniture made by, where were your um,
well,
tables?
he was, they were the Mennonites.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was interesting because they have
For the
plates.
lunchroom? The lunchroom?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have that. Let's look at that.
and I think they did our chairs also in the kitchen in the Mackenzie house. But so they did all that furniture, and a lot of it, they do have warehouses in the US. So they're, because I learned a lot about the Mennonites and how they live and everything
Yeah.
through
They,
this, because they move around. So they tend to have, like, they'll have a family living here and then they'll move, partially just to keep it with a lot of variety, for because there's a small group. So they'll move, but in this case, he has a shop here and he makes a lot of furniture, but then they had a warehouse in the US. So some of it he could bring and some he had to make, but we did need a lot of lead time for it.
oh, yeah, I'm sure. That's
But to answer your question, I think we went to camera 12 or 13 weeks after that
oh, that's
full
unexpected.
prep started. And we always knew that this school build would be more time consuming than that. So we pushed that back in the schedule.
Mm.
It kind of worked out well because one of the actors, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but one of the actors was only available on week one. So we had to shoot all of their stuff first, and that did not involve the school. So that helped us actually quite a
That usually never happens.
bit. I know
It's usually the
it's
other way around. They're only available for 1 week. They're in the most intricate set. Let's move all that up. So, bravo to that because I'm in that world
well,
right now.
it was also tricky because the director, understandably, really wanted to start like in this lunchroom with all of the cast,
Oh,
just so that he could get a a sort of camaraderie out of them and get a feeling and sort of have everybody together understand the world that they were in. And so he wanted to do this one on day one. And we had a little bit of a back and forth. He at one point he said, just put plywood on the floor. I don't care what the floor looks like.
what do you mean you don't care what the floor looks like? What if the whole overhead shot is the best one? Like you see the parquet floor, like the design
Yeah.
of it and everything.
I mean, I understood his needs, but this was such a detailed and big space to create.
No,
So
this is all a build. The
yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, it's beautiful. The design around the first and second floor, the lights up above are though. Where did you get those? How did you get so many? Like,
we built them.
oh, you built them. I was gonna
Yeah,
say. No, they're
yeah.
beautiful.
I'll send you a behind the scenes photo of them.
Oh, please.
Those are basically cones that, I mean, when I first designed or like thought of that, using that lighting for the ceiling, because we wanted it to feel like a school,
Yeah.
but we wanted it to feel so opulent that these are the richest private school girls in Gilead. And so it needed to have this kind of level to it that was like, this is a ballroom, but it's a school lunchroom.
Right.
Um, and originally we designed those as um, half spheres. So the light fixture bounces up into it and comes down. Um, but those in diameter are about 4 feet, like
Wow. Huge.
how because they're on the ceiling. And making those, we just didn't have the time to make a perfect half sphere. But we kind of realized that with the light bouncing up, you wouldn't necessarily see the shape of it. So it's actually a cone and it has a flat top.
Mm.
Yeah. So like it's circular in this direction. And then, but when you get to the top of the cone, it flattens.
Hmm.
And that just was a lot easier to build. So we could do it in the time, but the whole thing was rigged on the ground. It was the first thing that we put up the steel first, and then we rigged that all on the ground with the grips on motors, and then basically the lighting team came in and wired everything up. And I mean that was quite a process of
I'm
figuring out
sure.
what kind of light to put in those.
Patricia, did you have the whole thing dressed and then they were like, take everything out so we can motor this down? 'Cause like,
No, I think that because there was so much happening in here, it was so planned of when we were gonna do everything, so it was, but I do have to say that the lead men that did this set, He had to move those tables and chairs out so many times.
I believe it.
And it wasn't just for setting it up. I mean, there was a little bit of that for setting it up, but it was mostly when we were shooting.
Yeah.
And they're big, long tables, and there's so many of everything. So that was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But
You know, like, what are they, 12 feet or something? They're
yeah,
very, very heavy.
They're
So,
great.
and the studio space was pretty full between the set and the backdrop and all of the plants that we had outside as well for the shoot off. So they had to exit the building when we took them
Oh,
out.
wow.
There was nowhere to put them. There was no space. So
Oh my
that
God.
was quite a thing. They
and
kept
they needed a ramp. They would have to put a ramp
A
in.
ramp in. Get
Yeah.
them on dollies.
The ramp would get installed so they could get everything in and out.
Oh my God.
We wanted to make use of the space. And I actually designed it when I read episode 5, which you haven't seen yet.
Mm-mm.
But when I read episode 5, um, wait, is it 5? The ball? Yeah, 5, 4, 5.
Fine.
When I read episode 5, that's when the space went in my mind from a single height space to a double height space
Mm.
with a mezzanine. But once we had that, the writers came in and Bruce, our showrunner, just thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if they had gym class in this space? And we played badminton and we thought that was really fun. So, but it did mean these big redresses and with the schedule.
Yeah. What did you have outlines? Did you have outlines for
Yeah.
yeah, and scripts that were pretty close to outlines so you knew things
Mm,
were
Yeah, I think we had when we began, I can't remember exactly. I think maybe we had 6 like
that's
full outlines and then
that's good. And
yeah, I don't think The last the last 2 episodes were still a little vague at the beginning. Those came a bit later, but
and then did you cross shoot or did you do one at a time?
we did blocks. The first 3 were together.
Oh wow.
One
That's a
was
big
yeah,
block.
it was great. I liked doing that because, you just have a bit more flexibility in the schedule. It helped, as I was saying, it helped
Well, yeah.
us to push the lunch, the dining hall back in the schedule. It was really about one of the actors in episode 3.
So you're selecting a couple, a lot of exteriors on the show to match, and this is their school that you talked about a minute ago. But is this is this a school? Is this a house? What is this gigantic, beautiful mansion you have for an exterior?
We scouted a lot of schools,
This is a school.
and schools are very difficult, obviously, because if it's a school for younger children, privacy is very hard. Like you don't want cameras around kids and security and if it's university schedules and we did consider shooting at a few universities or private schools. And that, for the crew, that just pushes the whole crew into weekends because,
Yeah.
you can't really have it during the week. And it also, it just reduces the amount of stuff you can do there because of dressing time. You would probably go in on Friday night, work an
Right.
overnight to get it ready, shoot Saturday, Sunday, but then when do you undress it? So it just logistically was very hard. And the locations team brilliantly found this place, which is actually a mansion. It's one of
Wow.
the most expensive houses in Toronto. It belongs to a family who are quite wealthy. They don't live there.
Of
Um,
course.
and the guy who owns it, his mother is a big fan of Margaret Atwood, which helped us so much.
Nice.
So they were so excited to be part of the show. And we did a season-long deal with them so that basically we went in, installed everything, put all our
Oh, that's
docking,
so
left
nice.
it there for the run of the show. Yeah, that was huge for us because inside the house we actually did a lot of construction as well. The interior spaces had no doors,
Oh.
so um,
Oh yeah, you had these beautiful
yeah, we
glass
had to put
pattern
all the
doors.
doors in. There were no door jams. It was a very sort of open, flowing space, which worked for them, but not for us because Lydia wouldn't have an open office. Like she's doing things in there that are good. So
I have to say,
yeah,
I did. I know it looks a little weird. I did brighten this picture. Just I had to brighten it because it was so dark. I was like, I can't see what I'm gonna talk about. So I did brighten it. So that's why the colors are off there. But
yeah.
yeah, I love her office. I love the like aesthetic of it and like the like very very astute of like her against the windows looking at people coming in, having a little conference table, having a little seating area that she's not entertaining by that fireplace. That's like a facade. Like, it's like
No, but sometimes she sits there and she has a sherry. So,
yeah.
it's her thing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And this room also looks directly onto the rotunda where her statue is. So
Oh,
I
right,
really want, and Patty found these perfect little benches
in the rotunda.
that sit on each side of her door. And so there's a shot in the first episode where Agnes is waiting to go see her. And
Right.
it's like you're sitting in the principal's
Yeah.
office. That little moment.
Um, Patricia, what was your inspiration for giving her an office in this one? Like,
Well, it's more working with the design of the school that Martha had been working on because we did this huge build. Because we've only seen so far of the school, you've only seen the cafeteria, but the build was much bigger than that. We had a classroom that we would alternate to become different
oh yeah,
classrooms.
the art
Had-
classroom, I have that. Yeah.
Our classroom's actually at this location.
Oh.
The, where they're doing the weaving, that is in a build
Oh wow.
stage.
Oh wow.
And so much of it, there's many parts of this that it's all specific design. And so we were trying to bring that element into her office. So you can see her tapestry
Yeah, the tapestry's great.
there, and all of that was designed. And then we had somebody weave everything for us. And originally we wanted our weaver who we had used as a consultant for the girls when they're weaving in the class with their looms. We had wanted her to do it, and she basically said, well, I wouldn't even have time in the whole project that you're shooting
Oh
to
my
do
god.
things. Because it's so
The
time consuming.
craftsmanship of it.
Yeah, and we had no idea. So we had to go to a weaver who uses machine weaving. And he created all of these. And so you'll see them throughout. In this case, you see the one over the mantle, but there's an amazing one in the school in their big is it a foyer, Martha, that you'd call?
Yeah, it's the lobby space. Yeah.
Lobby? Yeah, there's a very tall one over that mantle. So there are definitely elements that we've pulled from the main set into this room, and also the furniture. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of it is an arts and crafts aesthetic, like the influence of the design that Martha had in the first place. So yeah, so that's mostly it. There's just those pieces in there, and we found some great pieces
I love her desk. I
for
love that.
collectors.
Yeah.
We did so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of kind of treasure hunting to find the pieces for these sets.
And the desk is nicely scaled for Anne Dowd. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
just a nice kind of feminine scale for her.
The
And
desk is so beautiful. You can't see here, but it's curved. It's just
Yeah.
a beautiful piece, and it's from a collector, this one person who just sells on Instagram, basically,
Oh.
and he always has the most amazing pieces, and we saw that.
I
And the
think it
first
popped up in my feed one morning and I was like, Patty, we need this.
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, because both of us follow him because he's got amazing stuff. But and I think we originally were worried it'd be too small, but then as it turned, but it's not small, it's just that for a size room like this, but as I said, it ended up being perfect for her.
No, it's perfect. Yeah.
And
It's also feminine. I mean, a lot of what you guys have, there's so many, circular pieces and feminine pieces, and especially with the arts and crafts. And I mean, I think it's like the Art Nouveau of the flowers, and it's very feminine the way that you've integrated all of that together.
I hadn't thought about how nice it was to design a show so much about women. Like, it's a lot of these spaces are the school, men aren't supposed to go into the school. Um, and in Agnes's world, obviously, as well.
Do
Yeah, so
do either of you have daughters?
party vibes.
You have daughters. Did that affect you in decorating this?
I think that I mean, always for bedrooms, she's definitely an influence
Yeah.
on all the sets that I've ever done, I think.
Yeah.
And there is so much to be said about little girls loving pink. Even little boy, I have a son too, and he loved pink when he
Yeah.
was little.
Yeah.
And a lot of boys do. We just always go, no, you don't want the pink sweatpants.
Yeah.
You want the black ones or whatever color for the boy. But yeah, they love pink. And so we talked about combining the pink and purple to get the plum with the pink and things like that. But yeah, for sure, she's
Yeah.
always a big part of it.
Is it hard to, because I feel like I would just think of this lifestyle. I don't have a daughter, I have two sons. So I feel like in decorating this, I would just think of this like, oh man, I don't know how this is just such an awful story that
Well,
having
I know
done.
one thing about it is that they don't have mess. Everything is tidied by the Marthas, and
Mm,
so everything's so perfect all the time, which is completely different from my
yeah.
daughters, and most
And
people.
sons. But yeah,
But yeah, I mean, you're thinking of it, but at the same time, you're remaining hopeful that these girls are gonna be
yeah,
different,
yeah.
that they're
It's kind of funny to be in this position of like when I was designing, I was basically putting my head into the people who are in charge of this world and the vision that they're trying to create for their society. And you kind of have to put aside the part of the story that is dark because actually they believe in it. So you have to
Yeah.
design this thing that they believe in. And then, I guess for Agnes's room too, like she believes in it. So
Yeah.
you don't have darkness in it because that's the character.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's the case whenever you're doing a set, there's a character who created it or that it exists around. And you have to just envelop their vision of what their space is or their take on their space.
Yeah, well,
Um,
I didn't include the dentist office, but that's a
yeah.
that is creepy. That is something I have to say is terrifying of just being like trusting someone like that. You're being put under there, you don't know what happens, and to maybe think that something happens to you when you have no control over it is just terrifying. So,
The
yeah.
dentist is terrifying in the best case scenario.
I, I don't
An
know.
absolute nightmare.
The older I get, the more I hate to go to the dentist anyway, so I don't go for it.
I had an appointment this morning and I changed it because of this schedule. So thanks for getting me out of the
Oh,
dentist.
there you go. You're welcome. There you go. We're looking at one of the art rooms and everything. Um, they have such, I mean, it's kind of ingrown when you're watching it. Like they're all crafts, right? They're painting, they're knitting, they're not being really taught, is it like math and science or anything? Like there's no evidence of that in this university. Um,
No, and we kind of invented we kind of like we brought a bit of that to the story as the art department because um thinking about what those classes might be, they have, kind of behavioral classes
mm,
and they do have some sex ed once. Although it's kind of funny the way it's taught 'cause they don't get told anything. Um, but we thought, well, what are the other classes that they're being taught? And thinking about the Handmaid's Tale, Serena Joy used to do a lot of gardening. That was sort of her,
mm,
I guess, release and flower arranging. And so, but I was also looking at the history of women's colleges in the US. And when you look through a lot of those images, um, there are images of women dyeing wool and
mm,
weaving and, making wallpapers. And that's, to me, that was such an exciting aesthetic opportunity that we lean into these homemaking activities that they're being taught, which, in some ways is like a distraction. Like,
right,
oh, just do your knitting, dear.
right.
But then for us, it meant that we could build a world in the school where a lot of these things were made through the school. So all of the weavings, the tapestries.
They're
Um,
used.
and then, yeah, so we did, so this room, I hate this photo because
Oh, I'm
it
sorry.
was meant to be seen from the hallway only.
Oh,
And so what
sorry.
you're looking at here is the original fireplace of the location, which was very kind of like a French uh, style,
Mhm.
which was kind of not in the vein of what we were trying to create in the school. So in Lydia's office, she had one of these, and we actually masked it with our
Let me see.
design.
Okay.
Um, but we were never going to see that angle of
Oh,
the
I
art
see.
room, so we didn't spend the money to
Oh,
cover that.
that's beautiful. I didn't realize that you made that whole mantle in her room.
Yeah,
Oh, that's beautiful.
underneath that is the Baroque style
Oh, wow.
place that you saw in the other.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you got to add the color. Is that tile or is that like a, s- a stone or like
Yeah, well, it's meant to look like tile. That one we did faux tile, I believe. But we did on the inside have to do because it does
so
also
deep?
it is a functioning fireplace. Like
Mm.
the we used the existing gas fireplace and then made everything fireproof. So but as a when I was talking about the crew before and the things you can do, they can faux finish, they can make it look like ceramic. They can,
Yeah.
mm,
Scenic
yeah.
painters are magic men, magic women. They just really, yeah. And
And on our show, I had very specific ideas of these handmade tiles and all of the different glazes, and those are actually quite hard to achieve because it's not just a flat color.
right.
There's so much depth. I mean, this is why I'm attracted to them, is there's so much depth in a glaze.
Yeah.
And the camera picks that up. There's a sheen, and the surface is imperfect. And so Patty did have and sourced a lot of tiles on the show, but then sometimes we just couldn't get them in time, or we couldn't get the quantity, we couldn't get the color that I wanted. And so we actually took a different tile and would refinish it into a different color. And we were very specific about the palettes.
Oh, Um, Patricia, just because I don't, sometimes I forget. But are you Toronto's different than like LA and New York's different than LA. So you do tile and do you do wallpaper and carpet and windows? What are you doing? You doing all that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do that. But the set dressers don't install it. So that
Okay.
is the difference with some places, because I know
Right.
it's different everywhere, but
Yeah.
they don't need those installations. So um, for the carpet, we would source it and then we bring somebody in to install, like outside.
Yeah.
Or sometimes construction departments do it, but they don't in this case. And the same thing with wallpaper. We do it. We
You do.
source it.
You source it and you install it. Or well, the wallpaper guys
And no,
install it.
then the scenics install the
The
wallpaper.
scenics installed. So then in the
Mhm.
bathroom, which I love this bathroom. The tile is sourced by you, Patricia?
Yeah, and that was through the person that I found, BlackRock Tiles. This amazing woman who makes these handmade tiles, and they're uneven. You
Mhm.
can find some now, like you can find sometimes the Spanish tiles, and they're a little bit uneven and they feel more handmade, but in this case, they were truly handmade and exceptional, and that she showed us so many different colors, and Martha picked a variety of colors, so that's not all just one color in there, it's mixed up.
Mm, it's
Um,
beautiful.
and they were it was a long time to get them. So we ended up with the floor, the scenic had to make the flooring.
Wow, that's
Yeah, so
We
those are
gorgeous.
tiles. I think that we got a white tile that had a nice uneven texture. And then the scenics, it's a long process because they have to basically first prep the tile to receive because it's
Rough it
going
up.
on the floor, it has to be very robust, the finish. It'll scrape off quite easily. So they've got a whole series of passes they put through in their spray booth, but then they managed to get the depth out of them, even with the fact that they're painted. But yeah, we picked, I think the floor has three different colors. But even within one tile, there's like a bit
Ah,
of gradient
beautiful.
variation.
Variegated and everything. This bathroom has such some great scenes so far in it, and it just the design of it lends to it where it's like an island of sinks, like 8 sinks and mirrors, but there's no wall there. So it's just so you can either look at yourself or you can look at the person, behind or diagonal from you. So you get to see and have this great conversations while there's still mirrors there, which I love mirrors. And I think when directors and cinematographers can use that in their storytelling, I always want to help lend to that. So, Patricia, does, or is this in the design, or did you find these that could,
No, these were, this was all custom. The only thing that we got were the sinks and the sink hardware,
Mhm.
but everything else was designed by Martha.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The mirrors, like I think in the initial design, we had these back-to-back sinks. And it was actually Mike, the director, who said, "Can you give me like elements to shoot through?" He was like, "Give me a towel rack or something."
Mm.
And then we realized, well, because we had mirrors on the wall, and then we realized, well, let's put the mirror in between and did this nice oval shape. And then the brackets are also like, you'll see this symbol throughout the school, which is this um, triangle
Oh
pointing
yeah,
down.
look here.
And
This.
that was one of the first things we developed was like, what is their symbol as the school? Like, what is their school logo, I guess?
I know what
We
it kind of looks
developed,
like. I mean,
I mean, yeah, so
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
very, so the upside down, the pointed down triangle is a symbol for fertility,
Mm-hmm.
like sort of, through history and different, you can find it in different places. And that is their entire goal is to become fertile women. So we wanted to use that as the basis. But once we started developing that language, I think one of the first people I brought onto the show was the graphic designer. And that's not typical. Usually
Yeah.
graphics comes on a little bit later. But I knew that I wanted to develop that language and then use it throughout. So that triangle again made its way into these brackets. And so we had those
They're
fabricated
beautiful.
just so that you continue to see that shape
It's
throughout the school.
I love these faucets too. Just putting it out there. I love them. They're so pretty.
And the towels were Irish linen. They were
Oh,
one of the more expensive things on those sets. I mean, we
Not the most expensive thing though.
not the most, but they were definitely, most things were expensive. I mean, when we're buying all these natural things and these beautiful things and doing so much custom work, but the props people had to get extras and they were probably like not happy
yeah,
with our.
yeah. There's always like, well, I got the 2 mugs. I don't know if you want to go get more. That's up to you. Just tell the actors don't drop them. It'll be fine.
But I mean the stuff had to look expensive. Like
Yeah, it
these women are,
reads, but it reads as expensive. Like you,
And they had
yeah,
to they had to look like they were woven. Somebody made them for
yeah,
them.
and the other thing is, it's not a culture of excess. Like they would
yeah,
have a handmade thing, but they wouldn't have hundreds of them. So, it's not like we had to get, I mean, it was a school, so there were 100 and, we imagined the school had maybe 120 kids in it. So some things had to be multiples, and like the dishware, for example, in the dining hall
mm,
was a little bit more utilitarian. We considered doing something that was kind of higher end, but it just felt like, well, it's not a school. Like it has to be a bit more
yeah.
organized.
It's gonna be washed a million times. Um, there's a lot. There's some great shots of some staircases in here too, and all of these. And again, now that you're saying that, your symbols are in all of these windows that go up this beautiful staircase, and that color is amazing when they're, especially with the plums and the pinks walking.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That was the goal, was to find, so in the Handmaid's Tale when they set up season 1 with June and Red, like I rewatched the first season
Hmm.
because that set up the palette, and I wanted to, kind of look at it again with new eyes, thinking about these plums and like how what worked so well in the palette. Um, and Elizabeth Moss has these beautiful blue eyes,
Mm.
and they put her in these very cool colored sets, and then she's got the red on, and it was such a contrast. And for the character of the handmaid to stand out in these cool environments just works so well.
Yeah.
And so when we started this show, I was really looking for like what is that color combination that's going to work for the plum? Like how can we stand them out against
Yeah, I think I
the backgrounds? But then also like we didn't want the colors to be too monochromatic. So within that lobby space, there's different shades and tones of that color. Um, you know,
yeah, it's not
on
flat
the
at all.
columns as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of different areas were painted in different colors, but we also did a lime wash
Oh,
on the walls, which gives it such rich depth.
oh,
Um, it's like you paint it and then you go over top with a solution, and um, that idea actually came from the location because the location had a lime wash on their more mustardy colored walls. And we didn't love the mustard color, but we had to, we needed to tie it in to our school. So we do have those warm tones as well. And there's a lobby space and then a hallway, and you see the two of them together. And it's sort of like it all combines into this palette. And bringing in those warm tones into the marbles as well. Like we have this caramel toned marble
mm.
that kind of relates to the location colors. But when we saw um, the lime wash, the location,
I don't think I've ever
like,
heard of that.
I said to
That's
my
awesome.
department, like, do you think we can lime wash these walls? And he said, we can do whatever you want to do. So he had a little team that went through and they became experts, and they were so quick at doing it. Which, it was a challenge in some of these spaces because they're very tall, and just the
Sure.
logistics of figuring out how to sequence things so you can get your scaffolding up there. And,
Yeah.
but it gives a depth to
Yeah,
the
it looks
colors.
alive in a sense. Like it's not flat. It gives it,
Yeah.
yeah, the depth and everything. Um,
I think lime washing kind of became trendy like last year, weirdly, because suddenly, or maybe it was just my algorithm, but
It is, no, it is,
suddenly I was seeing a lot of lime washing on
that
Instagram.
is, and it's like they get the stuff, it's some kind of Italian product,
oh,
Yeah.
Italy, that people are getting. Because I have a friend who's an interior designer, and she had used it in something, and then we saw it here, and it is really beautiful.
oh, I love
Yeah, I
that.
mean, the location was it was a very expensive paint finish, and we were not allowed to change it. We weren't allowed to touch it, because they had actually brought somebody from Italy to paint their house.
Oh, wow.
And so they said, like,
They
if
don't
you
even live
damage
there.
anything, you got to fly that guy in. So the first thing we had our scenic department do was like make samples to match their walls so that we could then use some of that within our set. So they learned quickly, like,
Wow.
how to make that. I mean, I know they
It's
already knew how to
yeah,
lime wash, but
but on what you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're like, oh, I learned that, I know about that, but when am I gonna get to lime a wall? Like you know what I mean?
I
Like
know,
sometimes you
you know,
never get to use some of these skills that you might have or want to do, or like make rock. You know what I mean? Like paint rocks, paint tiles for floor. Like
yeah.
it just depends on the project. Um,
Man, I'll never say never, but I feel like I'm gonna want to lime wash everything.
no. Better hold on to those scenics then. It did such a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah, I hope I can. Yeah.
There's such integration with the wardrobe and the set dressing. So when you're doing like the closets and everything, are are you just, you know, give me over all your wardrobe? Are you making these yourselves? Like are these yours? Because sometimes wardrobe doesn't like to share. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, at the beginning, she said, by the way, I have to give you everything. And so
Yeah, and sometimes they want to do, which is great. I don't want to go,
yeah,
yeah,
for Agnes's closet, she really just didn't have enough.
right.
And so we had found at like these stores like George and these different stores. Luckily, that color, there was variations on the plum, and she has a range just like she does for the colors for the wives and everything. There is a one color that you see most often, but there are ranges of tones. And so the color was trending. So we were finding these mauve and different colored little sweaters and things that were just simple. And if they were folded, you didn't know. And so she
Yeah.
did eventually say, I showed her some things. I said, because she gave us some things that I felt like we had seen around and that we could get. So I showed her things and she said, yeah, go ahead and use those. It was really helpful. But then the really specific stuff, she gave us
Yeah.
everything.
Agnes has a wonderful closet too.
Yeah.
Nice big closet for her. But this is always fun, a display, but the simplicity of this and like the like these are your choices. You have three choice like you one choice really, or you have this choice and it's such a fun set to do of like, oh, if it only was that easy, if I had a I say it all the time. I kind of wish I had a uniform. I went to Catholic school and now I kind of wish I had a uniform every day so I
I
didn't have to think
encourage you
about
to find your uniform
yeah.
and just do it.
So I don't have to think about what I'm wearing every day at, 4 in the morning when I'm getting dressed. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm all for it, kind of. um, but a fun set to do, I would think.
Yeah, this set was a challenge because it was we were kind of building out an interior in an existing backlot set, which I found very hard to do. It was very specifically choreographed for a stunt, and
Yeah.
so this was actually an L shape that was never meant to be an interior set when it was built. So it was very small, and suddenly we had a scene in there with I think it was like 16 girls,
When they're
and
hiding after the bomb, is that what it
yeah,
is? Yeah.
and so we tried to come up, to build out the interior with lots of texture and make it a dress shop. They keep everything very flat to the walls so that they had space because,
Mm.
there's a crowd of people in there. Um, and we kind of designed it to some specific angles. But Greta, our DP, kept saying after this day shooting, she was like, that's my favorite set. And it really was like,
It's like you
it
never know.
was yeah, it was one of the ones that I was like, "Oh my god, what are we gonna do with this?" But it did turn out beautifully. I mean, it rained the night before we shot it, and that lino floor we put down, which I liked the finish of, was, like, soaked through,
No.
um, but we
What's
mopped it up and made do.
was so when they're walking through the towns and everything, is that a backlot or is that a town you found? Like, is it
Yeah, different places
mixed?
different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It's
I mean, one of the hardest things actually is shooting, like, a Gilead street.
yeah,
Um,
because it's so perfect. It's like
Yeah, you have to have a specific, kind of architecture. You have to have control and ability to, dress storefronts, remove all the graphics, get rid of the cars, bring in electric vehicles. Like it's a challenge to dress a big exterior.
I don't think I have
And on our show, they just they didn't want to go too far afield from the city
right.
um, for budgetary reasons. We had our priorities, which was school, but it just meant that we had a real struggle finding a place we could shoot scenes like that. And yeah, that particular the dress shop street was really all about the bus crash and stunt.
And the
And so
flower shop, is that because that's like another
Flowers was shot in Hamilton, which is a city like 45 minutes from Toronto.
oh,
And that turned out to be one of my favorite sites, actually. Those flowers were gorgeous. And we found a little, sort of strip that worked.
yeah, poor flower girl.
Yeah.
Um, you do get into some beautiful like interiors too of the Colonel's house, Agnes's father, her house. This is her house, right? I'm not. Um,
Yeah.
um, tell me about wallpaper and giving them a little glam. I mean, it's fun. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful mix.
This one was, it was about her stepmother, Paula. So Paula's character, who's quite, mean to her,
Yeah.
And she's a equestrian. They live somewhere close to Washington, but out in the countryside. And so we looked at a lot of Virginia and Maryland sort of horse estates. Like I went to, there's some great websites if you want to shop an equestrian estate, and
Mhm.
just looking through some of the properties. We wanted to really embrace the idea of the surrounding landscape. And so that's what the wallpaper is about. It's like
Is that
bringing in this sort of pastoral um,
That's beautiful.
feel. And then with Paula, we wanted to give her kind of, she's a little bit more contemporary than some of the handmade season sets. She has a little bit of that edge to her, but also we gave her this idea of black accents,
Mm.
which I think we wanted within throughout this uh, series. I talked a lot with Mike and Greta about wanting to have a brighter palette and maybe you know lighter rooms and maybe even softer colors. But Mike said, we have to maintain the idea of contrast within that. And actually, this black accent thing I think works really, really well
Yeah.
to bring that in, even though the room is actually quite bright and airy, this like blackness. Um, I really liked the way it worked. And Patty found some great like geometric
Yeah.
um, motifs in there as well.
They're
That table has this,
beautiful.
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Beautiful circular table.
and it had the most beautiful pattern on it. We also well, the black was good for kind of the severity of the character, but we also had the, Greek key
Mhm.
that shows up in a lot very subtly, but that was also on the top of that table, it has a Greek key
Oh,
ring,
here.
really beautiful.
Beautiful.
But, just because that's kind of the Greek key to me is very, I don't know, severe as well,
Yeah.
historic,
Yes.
yeah.
Did you what I don't maybe they show it and I missed it, but who's in this painting here? Is that
That's a photograph of Agnes and her parents,
oh,
adoptive parents, yeah.
oh. Yeah. Patricia, how is sourcing things? How is your world of getting doubles and everything? I kind of always ask because it's such a challenge now.
That's hard. It
Yeah,
is hard, and everything is online now.
I know. I
It
know.
just you can't find it in the showroom. You'll see it, and then you have to wait and order, or you just order online and wait and hope it's gonna come in time.
Yeah. Even going to places like and then it's like, "Can I just buy the floor model? Can I just have this?" And they won't give it up. It's like so
Yeah.
annoying.
But I think mostly for having the doubles, it was mostly lighting, as you see here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oops.
we were yeah, like, for the furniture pieces, luckily, we could usually if we found something amazing, it was okay that we didn't have a double on it.
Yeah.
Like, so this table and
We ran into trouble with the tariffs. Like that was a major moment for us because that was right when we were in prep, January and February
Oh
of
God.
2025.
Sorry. I'm just apologizing for all that. But
Yeah.
what's interesting, I've been on a couple of tax credit shows which are amazing and we're all so happy, but they also restrict us from buying things online. Like, you
Mhm.
have to spend the money in the state. You have to spend
they do yeah, we have more yeah, we have to shop a certain amount in Canada for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then we can order some things from the US, and we end up having to. I mean, we
I
can't
have
get
to. I have found a little bit of a loophole that even if the company isn't in California, if they have a warehouse in California and ship from there, so maybe you can try to get
it's really interesting though. We don't have that limitation. We
Oh,
could get it from anywhere that we want, but they do specify that we try not to
yes.
shop too much US
Yeah.
because they have agreed to, I guess, get a certain amount in
Yeah.
wherever in Canada.
It's
Yeah, it saves us money if we do it locally, and so we try to. But then there's certain things that you just can't get.
yeah,
Like the wallpapers come from all over the place and
yeah,
everywhere. So they're usually in Europe, but there are some we use Aztec all the time.
yeah. Gotta use Aaron. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, they're the best, and so we have to, and things like some of your companies for the blinds, the turnover is faster than us getting it from a local manufacturer,
isn't
which
that
is
crazy?
insane.
That's crazy.
So we'll be shipping from either down in the southern US or from Los Angeles, and it arrives quicker than it would if we'd ordered in from a manufacturer in Canada.
Yeah, that's
In
crazy.
that case, you just have to, because you know what it's like with the
Yeah.
timelines.
Looking back on this season, do you have like, oh, that was our biggest challenge? Like getting this to camera was our biggest challenge in timing or money or just like scope.
Um,
The builds, wasn't it, Martha? We had to have all those builds right up front, and they were giant sets.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think at the
Yeah.
beginning, as with any first season, like you're establishing so much right at the beginning. And I think within the same week, we shot for the first time in our big stage set with the dining hall. But then we also shot location at the school where, we'd done a lot of building and a ton of dressing, um, inside, outside, front, back. Um, and so that was a big week.
Yeah.
And I had managed to get appendicitis
Oh no.
on our on our first day of shooting. So yeah, that was it was
Did you
it was
fake it? No. Did you?
She was in the hospital. We were trying to
Oh my
it
God.
was terrible, and the poor thing,
oh, he's like, I know you're not feeling well, but I need a decision.
Yeah.
Martha was really sick and not going to the hospital, and we were saying, "You need to go." They were saying, "You might need a surgery," and Martha was,
You got
like,
it.
so dedicated.
They wanted to
Well, the
if they
show
wanted
must
to
go
operate,
on.
and I said, can we wait a couple of weeks?
I have a friend and we talk about it all the time of like, as much as we love our jobs and as much as we know everybody appreciates our work, if I drop dead on the set, they would walk over my body to find a replacement for the next scene. Like, no harm feelings, but we got to move on. So you got to take care of you because they're going to walk right over you. That's
Yeah,
our
but
feeling.
I hear that, but also this show for me, this is my baby. Like,
Yeah. Oh
you
my
know how mothers are like, oh, I'll do anything for my kid. I was like, I am gonna see this set shot day one. Like I just was so into it, and excited by it. So it's fine.
Patricia, did you have like a exciting moment on set with with any of the dressing and the actors or like revealing the sets or anything?
Um, yeah, when we put in that ceiling and then they hoisted it up for the first time, that was pretty exciting. That moment of like seeing that go up.
Mm.
Um, but then I think the first day shooting the dining hall, like when they brought in 100 girls dressed in their uniforms, and
See,
it felt like you were in high school. Like, it just felt like that buzz of excitement in a
yeah.
room. I was like, oh my God, we just designed this high school. And that was great. You could just tell how excited the actors were to be in the space and kind of be getting into the scenes. Yeah.
Patricia, do you have one or is it that moment?
Yeah, I mean, it was all I think that I was just blown away by things like when those curtains, like when we hung the curtains and they were printed on the bottom with part of the pattern that Martha had designed.
Mm.
Um, things like hanging those curtains and when we'd walk in and see the tile work, things like that.
Yeah.
I was really blown away. There was a scale that I hadn't worked very much with on this show. There were really, really big sets and crazy tall ceilings.
Yeah, the first thing that the director said to me was like, when we are designing these sets, we want these girls to feel small. Like we want them to feel little.
That's a great note.
And yeah. And then when we found a location, it did have 14-foot ceilings in the exterior location. When you step inside, it had that scale. So we kind of matched that. And so everything was oversized. I think it worked. As well with the chairs, like when we picked chairs for the dining hall.
I hope your budget was oversized. I hope your budget was oversized.
It was not.
It was not.
It was not. It was, I think it was happening throughout the industry, but the budgets were getting smaller and smaller per series. So this series had a lot less money than Handmaid's Tale.
It doesn't look it. It looks super expensive and just beautifully done and well achieved of making these poor girls look small and look, innocent in everything that they've done. And they're just beautiful sets. I can't wait to watch the rest of the season. So thank you guys so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna... Oh, thank you so much to Martha and Patricia. And I mean, come on. The amount of thought in every detail, the curtains, the tiles. I mean, mismatching those green tiles, the mirrors, it's so much detail in these sets and the symmetry and just beautifully, beautifully done. So thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed speaking to them about this, and I can't wait to watch the next couple episodes. I am going to follow through because I do want to see where this one's going. So if you like this episode, subscribe to Decorating Pages wherever you listen. Please leave a review and likes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And then, of course, as always, head over to YouTube for the full interview and visuals so you can follow along with your picture pages, and plenty of more conversations with production designers and set decorators behind the best of film and television out there. Don't forget to email me if you are interested in Don't forget to email me if you are interested in an Emmy promotion for your Emmy-worthy show. Yes, let's get it seen. Let's do it. I'm always breaking down the details that you might miss on screen. So follow along on Instagram for Decorating Pages for the clips and what Wannop's watching and anything else I can throw out there. I guess that's it. I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wannop for Decorating Pages.